Welcome to the second edition of Buddy's Briefings. After a 5-week recess, we're back in Washington, D.C. this week, and I wanted to bring you up to date on some of the things that we discussed this week. First of all, Born Alive legislation. You know, this is legislation dealing with abortion clinics when a baby is actually born alive. You would not believe some of the things that are being done there. We've brought this legislation before the House 80 times, and 80 times it's been blocked by the Democrats. When we had this hearing, we requested a room in the Capitol. The Democrats wouldn't even give us a room. We had to meet in a building adjacent to the Capitol to have this hearing. It deals with some of the horrendous things these abortion doctors are doing to these babies. If they're born alive, they actually snip their spinal cord to kill them, or they leave them in a closet so they'll die. This is inhumane. Regardless of what you think about abortion, you have to admit this has no place at all in our society. It needs to stop, and that's what we're working toward. In the committee that I serve on, the Energy and Commerce Committee, this week we talked about maternal mortality, something that the United States has too high of a rate of. And unfortunately, in the state of Georgia, we have one of the highest rates. Because of that, I've taken a keen interest in this and worked on this diligently. We were very fortunate last year to pass legislation that the president signed into law that set up review boards within each state so that they could look at what's happening with maternal mortality. This year, I'm proud to tell you that along with my good friend on the other side of the aisle, Representative Catherine Clark, we've got legislation that will utilize birth centers, another way that we can deal with maternal mortality. The last thing I want to tell you about this week is really good news, and that has to do with our blueberry farmers and with disaster relief. For 2 straight years, they had devastating losses. We're expecting 90 million pounds of harvest. Instead, we only got about 30 million pounds of harvest because of late freezes. Well, on Tuesday of this week, that money finally started flowing down to our districts. If you want to apply for some of this money, you'll see the website on your screen, or you can call our office. The number will be on your screen. We want to make sure that you have access to this. We value our blueberry farmers, the #1 fruit in the state of Georgia now. We're very proud of that. We want to keep it that way. It's been a busy week in Washington this week. Thanks for joining me on Buddy's Briefings. See you next week.